Hello and welcome to Kast. I am Kalis, and co-hosting with me, as usual, is Bujam.
Hey, great to be here.
We are back for the new year, so thank you for joining us. We have an amazing Concast for you today, the Stompy robot game Heavy Gear Assault. Joining us today is John Nugget, Vice President and Marketing Director of Heavy Gear Assault.
Always a pleasure, even though you guys massacre my name every time.
We are also joined by their Business Development Director, Marc Buchmann, aka Colonel Patavinson.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Tonight, our roundtable will be comprised of mostly regulars here at Kong. And first up, John, you have a tournament with real actual prizes. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, we're excited to launch our first official tournament. We made the announcement last week. This will be the very first eSport event for Heavy Gear Assault. We're doing it with our alphas, and the main reason why we're running a tournament at this time is to test our tournament infrastructure and see how we can run it, and also test server loads. And the exciting part of it is our friends at Razer and Epic Games have co-sponsored this first tournament, and you can win some really bad stuff.
Did you want to talk a little bit about the prizes or what can be won, or how
Absolutely.
it's going to work out?
So we have a total of $1,200 in total prize pool. The prize packages will be made official probably by the time this Comcast goes live. And we'll be showing our prize packages. Headlines are Death Adder Mice, GTX 970, as well as some Epic Games swag.
Isn't there a solid state drive in there too, John?
There is, and there will also be game packs that you guys can win.
Oh, the packs you can pledge for?
The packs that you can purchase right now, yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
You can win props as well.
Right, props is a new thing that we have launched, and we're excited about it. So that's going to be part of the prize packs as well.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, so we wanted to have a commodity that can be used to bring for many uses actually, and we wanted a method for you to bring a friend in and get them hooked in the game, and so we thought we'd come out with a piece of commodity that can be traded on the open market, that can be purchased with both cash and in-game credits, and it will be floating around, and the players will control the tech price. Depending on supply and demand. And so Prop came out as this item that you can purchase. Someone will purchase it for $9.95 and then circulate it within our black market system. And whoever chooses to use it will consume it.
Was
Right, or
that
the
a
person that buys it
black
can use it
market
as well.
system?
Yeah, that's going to be the module that's coming after the customization. That's going to be our world economy, where players can trade and sell stuff very much like eBay to each other, and this is where our not pay to win or free to play microtransaction happens. Once you buy the game, you will not need to buy anything else because you can buy it off somebody else who has blueprints and is manufacturing the items. So theoretically, you once you bought the $40 pack, you will buy items off someone else with the game money. So you don't need to spend real money anymore, if you so elect.
Well, we'll definitely get back into that. Just wanted to see if there's anything else you guys wanted to run across before we start the questions.
I think we can run them through and we can loop back to what we said.
Excellent.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do this then. Okay, the first question's from me. I was asking, after the recently announced tournament, what's going to be next on the list for HGA?
Well, I think we've already seen it on the producer update that Vince put out a few days ago. We're going to start the customization module. We're going to tweak the final quirks out of the battle module and start work on the fun part, the gear bay part, where you'll be able to assemble a build, play around with the builds that you have, and launch your gears. Basically the mech lab.
Yeah, it'll be nice to be able to actually customize and change your loadouts, because right now we don't currently have that ability.
And we're going to GDC.
We're going to go to GDC. This is going to be a really nice showing for us this year. We're hoping to have a bunch of computers set up, and I'm not going to say too much more, but it's going to be a very nice booth.
Well, we do have a lot of MechWarrior people that go to GDC, so hopefully they'll see what you have there.
And we're going to be right across from the SpaceX booth.
So you can check out whatever they're bringing and check out robots and spaceships.
Two things we here at Kong like. All right, so next on the list, we have a question from Azrael Dominov. Could you list all the ways in which you plan for players to be able to acquire things that they add on to their gear that affect the way it plays, such as guns, other equipment, etc.?
Got the black market, where the people can fabricate items and put them up, and you can buy just the item from there. You can buy the blueprint yourself for the in-game currency or for cash. And if you buy it for cash, you get the blueprint plus one copy of the item run already. Then you can fabricate them yourselves as well and put them on the black market. And everything in the game has, there's how many items? There's 25 on a gear, armor plates, skeletons, stuff like that. There may be more components in the future on those gears. Then you have all the different weapons. All of those can be fabricated. Everything can be acquired through TEC.
You can also go into dedicated matches where you will be duly warned and gamble with your stuff if you lose in winner takes all pink slip matches.
Right, that's the salvage matches. So you have a grudge with somebody, and they're always trolling you or whatever, and you say, yeah, fight me, let's see. And winner gets the loser's gear.
1v1 me.
Yeah, right. So you don't lose the blueprint, but you'll lose the gear.
Okay, TEC, is that your in-game currency?
So that's the Terra Nova Economic Currency Credit, which is a made-up currency that is used for global exchanges.
Oh, okay. So,
because I think the universe has like hundreds of currencies in it, so we had to create one unifying currency, basically.
Basically,
that makes sense.
It would be the equivalent to the precursor to the euro. It was the European Economic Credit or something like that, long before it was called the euro. And basically the local currencies had a baseline to trade with. And so we created a baseline for Terra Nova for the global economy there.
That's right, because you guys follow the lore pretty heavily.
We try to.
So,
And in certain places we make a little bend here and there to be able to do something flexible with the game. And
make it more gamey, more fun, yeah.
More practical also.
Well, you did say, you mentioned earlier the black market. So you said you have these blueprints and you can use them. Are they used up after you use them? This is the part I'm not grasping.
Well, the idea there was sort of that, no, like the ones you buy for cash are never used up. But if you win a blueprint in a tournament, let's say, maybe it'll be a limited run blueprint. So you win it and you can run a couple, and then either you can sell them on the black market or you can keep them for yourself as sort of an exclusivity item.
Are blueprints going to have like gears or just equipment? Because I know gears are made up of equipment, so I wasn't sure.
Anything, right? The gear is composed of, all the different components that make it, and the blueprint contains all the prints for those items.
Okay, is there some sort of limited resource in which you use to make stuff out of the blueprints, or is it just TEC or what?
No, you just pay. Yeah, you just pay, right? Maybe in the future, but no. I mean, there's nothing right now. It's just a straight up cash conversion. You basically buy a raw material like a 3D printer,
Oh, okay. I see how that works. All right. Well, moving along.
Go ahead.
No,
well,
go ahead.
What I was going to say, I might as well talk about it now, is that the point of it is not just that, I can challenge you for your gear and take your gear away from you because you still have your blueprint, but also that I can create degradation. So you take a gear into 1,000 matches, those components are going to start breaking down until they have to be replaced.
Oh, okay.
Now, you'll be getting paid all the time in those matches, But, and you'll be able to make enough money to replace that gear after 1,000. It's not like you'll be grinding then to replace it, with some. That's not the point. But the point is that there is some degradation and there's some consideration. Well, I don't really want to take damage if I can avoid it. Or, I got to figure out my playstyle. You got to factor it as something, real, like a repair system, basically. You could hire a technician to keep to keep the degradation level from going down so quickly.
Oh, I see. So it's creating the money sinks that help create that healthy economy you see in like MMOs and such.
Creating an actual economy, right? Like you buy a car and you drive it for 20 years, it starts to break down. You got to keep working to buy a new car, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. It gets going. So let's move on. We have a question from Laser Angel. You mentioned that before MechWarrior 4 was popular with armed forces personnel due to its ability to play it offline and on LAN. Has there been any interest in this once more with Heavy Gear Assault?
So, with this particular question, it's really interesting because MechTech came from this community-based background, and the fan base of MechWarrior 4 and the fan base of Heavy Gear are very, very much so. A large segment of it is ex-military or currently serving military, and sometimes they are restricted with internet connectivity, and this is something we want to offer. We want to offer the ability to host your own server and even host your own tournaments with your own house rules at a future date. So this is something that we are considering.
Would this affect like the master character, or would this just be offshoots like just play matches or whatever?
I think the idea there is that, once you buy the game, you own it. And you can play with your friends on a LAN or whatever, mod it, maybe even hack together some maps or whatever. If you want to participate in the ongoing metagame that lets you acquire more stuff for free on top of it, then you can, but you don't have to.
Nothing.
And we can learn a lot from the community, right? What are they doing? Oh, look, they like playing this kind of game mode. Look what they're doing on that server. Hey guys, do you guys want to see this on our servers? Oh yeah, really? Cool. We wouldn't have time to figure that out on our own.
And that's the whole point of it, is it's basically once you get it, you can do whatever you want. And if you want to participate in our metagame and our global standings, sure. If you want, you and a dozen friends, and all you do is compete against each other, have at it.
When you mentioned this being a hoped-for feature at a future date, do you expect this to be a post-launch development?
No, it's going to be aiming towards a launch development. So when Heavy Gear hits launch, we hope to have this feature implemented.
All right. Well, that's good news for those who are overseas and don't have the greatest internet connection. Our next question we have is from Connor. And he wants to know, are you going to include more exotic environments in the arenas, such as Zero G, much akin to the Hollow Room and Heavy Gear 2?
You should know that I'm sitting on my hands and I'm all like giddy about the Zero Gs. I can't really talk about that right now, but we will be traveling around Terra Nova.
Well, we definitely think it would be cool to have a Zero G map like Ender's Game or something with gears.
Oh yes, and I really want to say it, so might as well just.
No. Listen to the question.
Cool, but who knows what'll happen? We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, are you going to include more exotic environments? That was all the question. You can just say yes or no to that.
There's going to be plenty of exotic locations to speak of, including one of them where I'll drop right now is an island map.
Palm trees?
Palm trees. Lots of palm trees. And a boat.
It's an island.
Yes.
Lots of islands.
Yes. All
so
right.
That's going to be a thing.
Right on. That sounds like fun. All right. Our next question is from Connor as well. And he wants to know, will you include the perk and flaw system alongside the threat value system like in Heavy Gear 2?
There will be perks and flaws in the sense that the equipment is going to give you perks and flaws. We're going to try to stay as close to the lore as possible in terms of armor rating and all kinds of stats that we are developing to match up with the actual setup of the gears in the lore.
When John broke down, like he took a gear, this is the threat volume, the lore, and he broke it down for the component system that Vince and the guys have integrated. He's done a fantastic job with that too, and it's something really cool. And you'll see how, if I change that shoulder plate out, this will happen.
You see, we're going into a level of detail that the lore really doesn't describe explicitly, and that's saying something because the lore is really, really detailed. We're going into talking about hydraulic pressure, we're talking horsepower outputs, we're talking weight to power ratios, and how heavy is each individual piece of armor in relation to the rest of the gear, how much protection does it offer. All of these kinds of juicy stats are not described. So the stats in the lore are actually a global stat of the performance of the machine, so we need to break those down.
Well, yeah, they're all generalized for role-playing purposes, whereas you actually have to have hard numbers because, well, your engine demands it.
Right, our engine and our game demands it, and the features we want to implement demands it as well.
And it goes right to gameplay too, right? You got to see how, the gamers, what they want to see in this as well.
All right.
It's an ongoing thing.
This is pretty good stuff. Speaking of the RPG, I have a question for myself. Are you planning on working with Archetype Press and do any tie-ins with the new RPG material coming out with HGA?
We're still talking. We want to bridge that gap a little closer, but they seem to be interested in doing their own thing right now in terms of the RPG, which is why they forked off DreamPod 9.
Sorry, I missed that last part. What was that?
They forked off of DreamPod 9 to realize their vision for the RPG, whereas DreamPod 9 is focusing on the tabletop. Yes.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. All right. Another question. Are you intending at any point to have your new gear bays be upgradable and to be customizable, since we'll no doubt spend a lot of time there customizing our gears to perfection?
I don't know about upgradable. That could be a gameplay feature, but I don't know about that. Customizable, definitely. You're going to be able to put up trophies and all kinds of doodads, and even pets running around, and your technical crews and your mechanics walking around, milling about, soldering in the background. It's going to be your space. It's going to.
And obviously, you can walk around in it too. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously you can walk around in it. It's going to be your cozy little space and your home away from home.
Oh, so it's actually going to be explorable, and you'll be able to move around in it. It just won't be a backdrop?
Just like Star Citizen, man. You just spawn in and you walk around your hangar. Start interacting with it, building your gears, lounging around.
That's really cool.
Even get your own office.
Invite your friends for a party.
But did you seriously say pets?
Yes.
What kind of pets?
Yeah.
Are you talking like robotic ones or
both?
Or biological?
Both. There's a whole bunch of critters on Terra Nova that are native to the planet, and there's also a whole host of imported Earth species. Yeah, why not? And drones, why not?
Little mini gears chasing you around.
Little drones as well, floating around, beeping and booping.
Well, that's how you do your third-person camera, right?
No comment.
Hey, that's what you told us before. You said it was going to be a shootable drone.
That's going to be for the camera drones.
Yeah,
They're actually shooting footage, not your third-person view.
Right, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hey guys, I'm over here. Shoot me.
All right. Our next question's from Infernus. Considering HGA's plan to be a competitive game, what do you have planned for an anti-cheat technology?
So we're looking at a number of options right now behind the scenes, and we haven't really made a decision yet. We haven't made a decision at this time, but there are a number of options floating around.
Following up on that a little bit, when it's this side of cheating, but it's still considered behavior you want to discourage, have you considered any responses to that kind of thing?
To what? Sorry, repeat that?
So if something that someone's doing in-game is harming the state of the game itself in some way, whether it's exploits or griefing or whatever you personally feel is going to harm the game, have you considered measures that you would or would not be willing to employ?
We have to maintain an open and transparent community, and a friendly one at that. We don't want it to sink into a level of toxicity where no one just wants to log in simply for the sake, because the player base are all, well, D-bags. So we want to maintain this friendly and competitive environment, and there are measures to do so. So we are going to seriously weigh that in. We have a number of options, again, that we are considering, but nothing solid at this point in time.
I know that Vince is working with some guys on this already, so I mean, it's definitely something, you know, that Vince is very astute and on the ball with.
And also to add in that we are a community-based organization, and our origins date back to that. So having a friendly and open community that is accepting of others is paramount to us.
Well, moving along, we have our next set of questions from our very own Alex Wolf. We got a lot of them. So, first one, any plans for a Steam release, complete with Team Fortress 2 and Dota promotional items? MechTech's MechWarrior 4M came with its own downloading client, but Steam is already there with its millions of users.
I have to no comment that for now.
Haha, secrets.
Secrets, indeed.
All right. We'll move along. How long will the player have to play to unlock a new robot or gear on average? Is the intention that every gear can take any other gear one-on-one, or are they planned to be put into tiers or better or worse rides? And if so, how do you plan on balancing them?
So the way we're going to balance gears is by equipment, and to do so, every piece of equipment is going to have a threat value associated with it, which is a traditional way of comparing its effectiveness on the battlefield in the Heavy Gear lore. We're going to translate this into Heavy Gear Assault, and we're going to assign a threat value to each build, depending on what the items are. And some of them will have certain parts will commingle with others, so it's going to affect the overall threat value, and that is going to determine how much equipment or how good a piece of equipment that you can bring to a match. That's only equipment based. The second part of our balancing will be skill based. So the whole purpose of tracking some of our people, our player base, is to determine where your skills are in relation to others, and to place you into like-skilled ladders. Of course, you can skip out of that and play with your friends in different leagues and stuff like that, but if you're going into an organized competitive event, you're more than likely going to be placed with people who are about the same skill level as you are. And then you enter a match with determined parameters such as threat value and game type.
Well, the threat value is right. The choice of the gears set that, the skills, so the players pick their threat value maybe for a match. I think I kind of look at it right now like something like tennis or soccer, and how they tier players based on how good they are, and doesn't mean that, you know, a lower ranked person couldn't beat a higher ranked, and they can fight if they want, but they're aware, and it just filters over the course of matches. Skill level kind of settles, right?
Are players going to be made aware of their skill level? Because in many ELO style systems, you don't always know.
Well, there's going to be a public leaderboard and such, so...
I don't have an issue with them being aware of it. I think it's really better that they are. I mean, in the real world, you're aware of it, right? I'm Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, I'm a junior hockey guy, and I'm going to go up against an NHL pro. You see what I mean?
Yep.
All right.
When you talk about the equipment-based tiering and threat values, is that always going to be on a per-player level, or will there be situations where a team has a bag of threat value points to split between them?
That would be more a game type related question. So certain game types will require maybe like you put together a team and the team has a bag of threat value budget, or maybe it's a type of match where you have respawns, and so you set up a whole bunch of setups and you have maybe 5,000 threat value to split between a number of gears. So one can be a whale and took up most of your threat value, and the other ones are just pieces of crap that you put together.
Or you take like 3 average ones or 4 or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, it really comes down to game types.
But you expect that to be an available game type?
Yes, I expect that to be an available game type.
Okay, another aspect of the question that was asked, do we have a sense of how long it will take to progress through unlocking new gears?
Right now, that's very theoretical. I have theoretical numbers crunched for all of that. But the reality is that until we put that in place and we see how it factors when players are playing matches all day and what they're earning, it's hard to say, but it's, not so much intended to be a grind for acquisition there. We want the players to have lots of fun. That's our main concern.
Yeah, I think that's a good distinction. That gameplay should be fun, regardless of how long it takes to progress. But
I kind of pointed out like this too, is that like the way I view it anyway is that, like I said, you're buying a complete game that you can do whatever you want with, play with your buddies, whatever, and there's no restrictions on you, whatever. If you join the metagame that we're running, now you can acquire more stuff basically for free just by playing the game, or you could just buy it. It's your choice, really.
Going back to the balancing, you're going to obviously be balancing the parts of the gears regularly to ensure that there's a equivalent balance, correct?
Like gameplay balance?
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah.
Absolutely. That's like an ongoing thing.
Yeah. So what's going to happen? Say, for instance, you have a blueprint for this overpowered item, and then all of a sudden you switch it, but somebody paid real money for that. How are you going to address that to an unhappy player, for example?
That's a really good question.
It's an essential question, but we want to go and be very careful when we put something out and play to test it before we release something that people are going to actually pay real money for. And
okay. That's really good.
Yeah, we don't want to just throw something out there and say, hey, yeah, you guys deal with it. And you know what? In the end, you only spent $1 on it because it's a blueprint, right? No.
Right, and we don't want it to come into a situation either where, oh, look, this hot new item with all this more damage and, buy it now, cash only. Like, absolutely not, right? It's going to be available. The blueprint you can buy for TEC too. But the blueprint might be more beneficial to buy for cash. But I personally, my preference is to release items that are underpowered or on par and buff them if the player base says this item sucks, rather than overpowered things that have to be nerfed.
Alternatively, what we can also do, and this is an option that we actually do consider, is actually fielding, seeding the black market with some of these items, and not release the blueprint. And just see how people deal with it.
How they deal with it, and then, we can turn this into a blueprint. And it kind of comes to some vetting plans we've been talking about in general with, community-made items and stuff, too.
So blueprints aren't for everything. They're more for, like, staples that have to be replaced on a regular basis or for special tournaments or whatever.
Blueprints are the means to which you can produce items. It's basically what allows you to give yourself the ability to produce stuff and sell it.
Let me put it to you this way. If I sell you a gear for cash, and then you go and get into a grudge match with somebody else, and say the winner gets the loser's gear, then you're taking away from that person a gear for cash. You cannot make salvage work like that. But with this system, we can.
All right.
Because here's the thing. I have a blueprint. I lost my gear to Kalis. All right? I'm kind of pissed off at it. But the thing is, I still have some cash. and I can just replace it because I own the blueprint.
Yeah.
Or what I can do is I can go to the black market, find the bits off the black market, and put it back to you. Put it back again with in-game cash.
I like that approach. I think that's a real nice way of approaching that. I know it was a bit of a curveball there for you, but I wanted to see what
That's
you
a
had
good
to say
question.
about that. All right, moving on. We got another question from Alex. Will you have vertical progression, weapon unlocks, level-based upgrades? Do you have to grind before your gear reaches optimal performance? And if so, how much grind is a good amount so that it feels rewarding and not grindy?
Okay, let me ask, how much do you feel is fun before it gets too grindy? How do you define that? Spend a month playing a game? A year? 10 years? When's it grindy?
Well, the question was before optimal performance. Before you are top tier, so to speak, as far as your gear goes.
Okay, I would say that I would tend to think that, when you play the game, you already have a gear that's very close to optimal performance, but you do have that on-net computer, and those things in the lore can learn as they grow, and so you might be able to slightly tweak little improvements here and there over the course of time.
Are we
good
talking
grind
like
is
3%,
again,
5%?
Yeah, something minor, right? I mean, the intent there is more, something that occurs over time. But how grindy, we won't know until players are like, oh my god, I'm not spending 6 months grinding this. You guys are crazy. And then we're like, okay, well, we better listen to our player base, right? Because that's what we do.
That's a fantastic answer. I like that. All right. Next question then. Again from Alex. HGA will not be free to play, but are you planning to monetize it beyond the initial release with hats, custom decals, custom HUDs, voice packs, and so on?
Go even further.
Yeah, why not?
Go even further, even allow you guys to do that.
What if you guys could, make hats and sell them and make real money?
What if you guys can make voice packs and put them up there?
Yeah.
What if
As
you
long
guys
as it's only cosmetic.
What if you what if you guys want to do decals and sell them? Or maps even?
Yeah,
So
maps.
you're thinking like the Steam store in the sense of be able to let the players make something and you take a portion of those proceeds?
Correct.
Yeah, we take a portion because we have to vet everything and make sure that, there's no, lewd content or whatever.
Yeah,
that
you're
it fits
fronting the
and stuff
store
like
and
that.
making it fit into your game, yeah, of course.
Right.
Right. Like we don't want something that A, breaks canon, or B, is just rude and wrong.
Right, so a player might make a weird cowboy hat or whatever, and then he could maybe potentially load that onto his server, and then his friends could all join. They could all check it out, and he'd be like, "Hey, why don't we sell this in the core servers to the community at large, and then send it to us, and we have specs for it." And yeah,
Yeah.
that would be totally cool.
It definitely would prevent things like oddly shaped swords.
So this is something in which you're actually planning on doing, or is just this would be a good idea kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely planning on doing this.
Yeah, this is part of the game plan.
Okay. That's what I was looking
I'm
for.
a big believer in the community being involved. And these guys, Vince started when he was 15, 16 in MechWarrior 3 making maps for that game. We all get it, and we want the community to help us with this stuff. It'll be fun.
In fact, Pata, why don't you tell them how you got involved with MechTech?
Well, I played MechWarrior 3, and I ran the unit Vincent's Vigilantes in the BattleTech universe, which was like a BattleTech 3025 PHP-driven website that used MechWarrior 3 that Hawker and Bailey ran. And we had a pretty cool website. I built this really nifty Flash website. Built a little intro video for it and everything, and MechTech gave me a website award, my unit a website award for this website, 20 years ago? That's was the first connection for me to MechTech, and never really, I wasn't a big MechTech poster on the forums and stuff, like a lot of guys big time in that community for a long time, and I had a lot of stuff real life, right, working in the business world and that, obviously, but that was one of the major reconnections when all this happened. Is I picked up a copy of Heavy Gear Assault and started talking to the guys, and we were like, wow, there's all kinds of congruencies here. It was really interesting.
Moving on. We have another question from Alex. Monetizing player avatars. I believe you've already answered this, but let's make sure. Do you plan on putting new robot chassis on the store for real money?
New robot chassis as complete gears?
I believe that's what he's asking here.
Right. So first, the avatars are actually the pilots, right? The player is like the pilot. It's not like they are the gear.
It's very Star Citizen in the sense that you are dude.
Right,
Walking
so you're
around.
just dude. That's not monetized or anything. You're your dude. Cosmetics for your dude could maybe be monetized, but you don't need those. Like, that would just be fun stuff for you.
That's just like in your gear bays, right?
Right, that's just in your gear bay, but it's also on the battlefield, because you can jump out of your gear or into your gear on the battlefield, right? You have an avatar who could, in theory, interact with the world in other ways as well.
We also want to have where we want to take it is you can even take your pilot, human flesh and blood avatar, walk around the city you're in, and go into lounges and hang out with other pilots, and then take them to your gear bay and show them what you got hanging around in your garage.
So picking up people and taking them back to your gear bay,
Right?
Maybe in a Strider?
Yeah, striding, all right. But yeah, that's the idea. It's not just a robot and here, go, click, battle. No, it's basically you're the guy. Here's your gear. Here's your stable. Here's your team. Here's your pit crew. You can interact with these different elements, and you can also monetize you can also customize your avatar to make them look like you.
You just mentioned your pit crew. Are these going to be faceless NPCs, or are these going to be people you can upgrade, you can hire, or are they?
You can hire them. They're like your staff members, right? And they can walk around the hangar. You can, in theory, change their the visual, what they're wearing as well. Yeah.
Oh, so you have your team uniforms and such, right?
Right, and they would also
do that too. Yeah.
They would also have different roles assigned to them, so and they will do different things for your team.
So you're gonna have like the guy who works on the on-net, the guy who works on armor, etc.
You might have a medic even. Yeah.
Okay. One question that came up with that was you said you can have we know you can have your avatar come out, your guy. Are you planning on making that a viable option? As in, because like.
Well, we wouldn't have implemented it if we didn't have some gameplay mechanics in mind.
Like maybe the pilot could pull a gun out and start shooting stuff.
And
yeah.
The pilot, maybe.
I mean, is it a viable option, or is it just like desperation move?
Well, let me tell you this. What if there's a map and you need to get out to interact with a computer console that's human-sized?
Right, or what if you're on the map and there's a big Strider all by its lonesome over there, and you run your gear over there and you jump out and you jump in the Strider?
Strider, can you remind me? I'm not familiar with the lore as much as you.
Well,
Basically
Striders,
the real mech.
Striders are non-humanoid, typically non-humanoid, large walkers. You'd see the chicken-legged varieties. You'd see quadrupeds, things with 6 legs, and basically they're large walking tanks.
Oh, so they're big, not like the gears.
Yeah, we're talking in excess of 10 to 20 tons, if not 30.
Think of a Marauder without arms and just one big fucking railgun.
They could be single or even multi-crewed.
They typically are multi-crewed. You typically have a pilot and maybe a weapons officer. Sometimes up to 3 people even.
Is that something you're planning on, multi-crew?
It's a fun idea that we're toiling with. It would be fun to have some kind of co-op mode where you can pilot the Strider, but that's like good idea type of mode. But we want to implement Striders in the game. And have that interaction between gears and Striders, and even infantry and tanks, even at one point. Which is why the getting out of your gear is a good mechanic, because we want to have that possibility to integrate that into various game types, and also mostly also have it available for us in the single player portion of the game.
Oh, so you are intending to, because before you said you were kind of waffling on whether or not you wanted to have a actual single player portion.
During our Kickstarter, we actually committed to producing single player episodes, and that promise holds true today. So the game pack actually does. The game pack that we're selling right now is going to be the game pack that we are going to be selling at launch. At least that's the plan. And they grant alpha access, but they also grant the first single player episode included in these packs.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I don't think anybody really knows anything about that.
So the single player episodes are going to be obviously that. It's going to focus on the military campaigns. And the arena is the starting point, because this is we're putting this game in a setting in the lore where there's relative calm on the planet, and there's a lot of veterans that basically either finished their terms of service or for one reason or another went AWOL and ended up in the dueling circuits. And these veterans are recounting their times during the War of the Alliance. And we've made this public that we were going to do our first single episode based on battles that happened during this war.
Okay, so you're going to go like military style, kind of like what happened in the other Heavy Gear games.
Right. So basically what it is, it's going to be like, hey, you bunch of kids, you never had it this good. Let me tell you a story. Wavy lines, flashback.
Oh, okay. So your own little stories here and there.
Correct.
Are they going to be like an interconnected campaign, or are you just talking like short little vignettes?
TZ, can't really say at this point in time.
Okay, that's fine. Understandable.
And those who know the lore know more or less where I place this. And let me just tell you, if this is a success, I have plans to make this like completely epic. And the spoiler will be weird men in shadowy suits coming to see your pilots, trying to recruit you for a job.
All right, sounds good. I have an add-on question from from Ian about this crew you mentioned for the team. Can you reduce their income as a method to help save money if repair and rearm or maintenance is hitting you hard, or could you possibly pay them more to increase their effectiveness to get things done faster or keep older parts maintained for longer before needing to be replaced?
Actually, the thought hasn't really crossed our minds that this, and that is a great idea that we'll shamelessly steal.
Well, I mean, if you're going to get into the point of having a pit crew, you might as well have some sort of management stuff going on, because that makes it fun and interesting for a lot of people. Plus, you could play the whole collect them all, find the best pit crew or whatever, and maybe that they could be sold on the black market.
Actually, yeah, that's sort of kind of one of the plans, is to be able to
dude.
sell.
Great, yeah, to buy and sell the crews and stuff on the market and the pilots. Yeah.
But not so much buy and sell, but more like fire and
Fire and hire. Yeah.
Buy their contracts.
Right. Yeah. That's not a bad buyer contracts, like in soccer, maybe, huh?
That could add to your
Like that
metagame.
idea.
You could have this, you might have your free agents, you might have your people that work only for these, sponsors, etc., etc.
Funny enough, in the tabletop heavy gear arena, you have a salary cap that you can't go over in certain game
due to
types.
rules.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That would keep it from getting crazy, so the big corps can't just run in and
Like, pay everyone $10 billion.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have one more question on this list. So it comes from Infernus. He wants to know if you have any plans for the Oculus Rift or HMD support, and if so, what type of implementation can we expect?
right now we're musing with it. We've announced that we want to, and this is part of our intent, is to support some kind of VR, and even Oculus being our first choice. We haven't actually looked at the technical specifications of putting our game onto it at this point in time. So there's nothing solid right now, but it is feasible, and it is within our objectives.
All right. What about he said HMD, so he's asking also for track IR.
Again, possible, no commitments.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that is about all the questions we have for you. Is there any other questions we have from Kong for John and Peta? Okay, we have a question from Capital. Will pilots be used as objectives?
That's, what do you mean?
I think he's talking about playing basketball with players, being able to
Dribble the players and shoot them?
Kick them into goals? That'd be like our 18
Actually,
plus
somebody
rating.
did have that question. I don't know what happened
Gear
to
ball?
it. What could a gear do to a human besides just shoot them? Do you have any plans for that?
We're looking at that now.
Yeah, it could vary from anywhere from carrying the gear, maybe squishing him. I don't know. Kind of hard because the gear is only so big, and the human's only so big. So. But yeah, we're looking at that.
Okay, cool. Well, we have no more questions. Is there anything else you want to tell us about anything upcoming or what's going on right now?
So aside from the tournament that's going on, a reminder that January 31st is your last chance to get into Alpha. And at the same token, that also gets you a chance to participate in the tournament if you register as an Alpha. And your chance to win some very nice swag from us and our friends at Razer and Epic.
Any final words, Pata?
I was just saying that I'm just really excited to be working with Stompy Bot Productions. This is a really exciting title. MechTech is a fantastic developer. These guys have blown me away in their capacity to get things done. I've seen stuff that, has really impressed me in the last 8 months working with Stompy and MechTech. And I'm just really excited about this title. This tournament is really cool that we're running. I'm really excited we're able to give away like some real, actual physical prizes this early on and reward the community for supporting the company and the development of this title.
All right, that's going to do us all for this Concast. Thank you, John and Mark, for joining us. Thank you for listening to Concast, and have a good night.